Hi, this is Andy from Fine Mesh Metals. Today we're going to do a Gabion installation video and go through some of the common questions and problems that people come across. So you'll have a delivery, if it's a small order, just a couple of baskets. It'll come with a company such as Tufnells. They'll come clipped together, it'll be under 20 kilograms, and it will have your lacing wire, the basket and helicals if you've ordered them. So, what you'll need to install your baskets. Firstly, you'll need your correct health and safety, which will be gloves. You'll need steel toe cap boots, obviously if you're moving a lot of stone around. And if you're working with heavy machinery such as JCBs and diggers, you'll need a hard hat. The only thing you'll need to install the baskets is a pair of wire cutters, such as these. Okay, so first thing we'd like to go through then is what thickness of basket you should have. In here we've got a couple of options. We've got a 3mm, a 4mm and a 2-inch 3mm option here. The normal apertures of the baskets are 3 inches, but we also do a 2-inch option for people that want to use a slightly smaller stone. Okay, so we'll go through this now. So this is a 4mm wire. You see the kind of flex that this has, and a 4mm wire gives you a slight, is what we classify as the architectural finish. 4mm doesn't sound a lot of difference from 3mm, but it's actually 76% more material. And if you don't quite get the bracing right, it gives you, or your stone is maybe a rounder stone, which isn't an angular and doesn't lock together well. The 4mm gives you a bit more strength. There's less chance of it bulging. So I'll show you the 3mm, the standard wire thickness. This is the 3mm. You can see there's a lot more flex on this. 3mm suitable for walls up to 3 meters in height, but there's the other option where you can have 3mm with a 4mm face, so you get the best of both worlds. You don't have to pay for having the whole basket in 4mm. But the bit you see on the front is a thicker wire, 4mm. There's the 2-inch option. As you can see, it's not quite as stiff as the 4mm, the 4mm 3-inch, but it's stiffer than the 3-inch 3mm. So kind of somewhere in the middle in terms of strength. It's got a smaller aperture, but yeah, you can get away with using a smaller stone type. So in terms of the finish, all the baskets we have are Gabion coated. There's only one option, or the difference, which is we do a nature coated basket, which is the same as the 3-inch 3mm. But on top of the 3-inch 3mm, there's an extra kind of nature coating, which is very similar to PVC, but this should give an extra 6 years lifespan over the standard quoted 60-year lifespan for Gabion. All our baskets are grade A Gabion, which are European sourced, and that is the highest quality wire that you can get in the UK. So in terms of joining methods, there's two options. You've got lacing wire, which is included in the cost. Lacing wire is obviously free of charge, or the helical additional option. You weave this down the corners, as we'll show you in a minute, and it dramatically speeds up the installation process. But both are equally suitable for Gabions, and they don't provide more strength of one over the. We also have, as a new option, these are, instead of the windlass from the back to the front, it's a preformed tie from the back to the front. So you hook it over the front edge, hook it over the back edge, and you just fold the corners over, and it means that you don't have to do the bracing wire job. Okay, so now we're going to show you the assembly of a Gabion basket. Now, the thing to talk about first is the footing. Now, the British standard, or the regulation, is to dig a 500mm trench first of all, and this will get below the freeze frost layer. There's obviously a chance that your basket will sink into the ground if you don't do this, because if you have organic matter that can rot, or the topsoil's slightly wet and the water gets pushed out of it, the basket's going to sink into the ground. Now, we're not engineers, so your choice on site is to look at the ground situation and figure out what's right for you. Obviously, a 1/2 metre high wall with a 1/2 metre deep foundation is quite large, so assess the situation on site and decide what the best option is in terms of how deep you want this towing to be. The other advice is that you compact up to 200mm of hardcore first of all, like type 1, for the baskets to sit on. This can be taken out of the 500mm. So if you took a 500mm trench, 200mm of hardcore, that would be the regulation footing for a Gabion. Now, obviously the higher the wall, the more important this footing is, and the more important that you get the 200mm of hardcore. Obviously, different sites have different requirements, because, you know, if you're on a soft clay, for example, there's a good chance that that could sink if it's very unstable, and you'll be able to tell that from site. But the best option is always to get a structural engineer and actually have a look at the soil itself, take soil samples, but this is an extra cost. So it's your decision on how you want to proceed with the footings. Right, so the basket as itself has become flat packed. We've clipped the sides and the lid to the base panel, and they'll fold up such as this. Okay. So first things first, we have two 1 metre cube baskets next to each other. As you can see, we've folded the two sides of the two baskets and we've got the two fronts. Now the joy of helicals is that you can join the two baskets together in one go with the helicals. And as you can see here, we've got the two side panels and we have the two fronts. And they all join on this one vertical intersection. So you take the helical spring, you put it over the top, and you start to turn it. And this grabs all four panels in one go. You have to be careful that it goes underneath each panel and you don't miss any bits. You can just spin it down. And that's that. So we're doing two baskets together and two sides in under a minute. Next, to use a lacing wire. We have a 1 metre height to do, and you have to go up and down from the top to the bottom. So I'll need to cut off a 2 metre piece. Here I have my piece of wire, probably slightly bigger than 2 metres. Best start at the top, otherwise it's going to fall down on you. Do a little tie. Now it's like a shoelace. You weave it in and out. Each time, it's a bit of a knack this, you need to make sure you don't fold the wire. So you end up with an excess bit of wire at the end. Just tie that off, making sure the sharp bit stays within the basket. Just cut it off. Okay. That's lacing versus the helicals. Helicals are a lot quicker. Lacing, if you get it right, can look neater and closer. The helicals is definitely the easiest way of installing the Gabion baskets. Now, on 2-metre baskets, there's also a diaphragm. So a 2-metre basket would be very similar to 1 metres, just with one panel in the middle. And the one panel will be attached to the centre, and that flaps up, and you can join that with the helical or lacing wire just the same. Gabion stone needs to be 100 to 200 mil on one dimension. It needs to be angular. It's a good stone. It's got lots of jaggedy edges that makes it lock together. Round stones lock less and they're more fluid. There's more chance of it bulging, and that's why we suggest a formal face for a formal basket for a round stone. So the front of the basket should be fair faced, which means kind of laying it by hand. And we have an option to make this much easier, which is a hand laying petition. Now these panels could just be laced in wherever you want them to be. They'd have to be as well laced in as the front of the basket. But all you do in this case is you put the petition wherever you want it. So in this case it'll be about 3 or 4 squares back, and these go down the front and they make it easier to drop them in. We're gonna show you how that's done now. That is petition, and we've set it back 4 squares, which is 300 mil. Some stones might allow you to do less than that, but this option gives you a quarter of the basket with good stone. You can even backfill behind it with building rubble, crushed concrete or bricks. Now again, that stone best to be angular, especially on higher walls, was a risk of it pushing or bulging the baskets. So yeah, this will save you money on the stone. At this point, you need to install your bracing tie, more commonly called a windlass. You install this by making a loop out of the lacing wire around 1 square from the back to the front. You put a stone within that loop and you twist it to give a tourniquet effect. There'll be another example of this later on in the video. So at this point you need to install your second windlass. As you can see, I've cut off a piece of wire around about 2 meters in length, a bit longer, say 2.5 meters, and that way you can hook the two ends over and tie them together and use a stone to turn it around in circles and make a windlass. You have to, when you've finished, lay the stone down and then put other stones over the top of it to hold it in place. You don't want this windlass to be too tight, otherwise you'll get the front of the baskets bulging inwards. You just need to hold it where it is. When filling the basket, you need to make sure that the stone is level with the lid. You don't want there to be any big voids at the top, as in when you put another basket on top of it, the higher baskets can crush it down and become unstable. So you need to make sure the stone is pressing on the lid when you put it down. But also you can't make sure it's too full or over full, because it'll be very tricky to tie the lid on square otherwise. The lid is attached using lacing wire. You can't use helicals for this because the stone is in the way and it won't allow you to twist the helicals. The lacing wire is the same as you do for the sides. You weave it in and out of the corners all the way around. You can normally do that in one continual piece. So if you cut off 2 metre lengths of wire, you can either work from both sides or you can work with a longer piece of wire and go all the way around.